I've learned through the years that there's going to be, as you say, those haters, those
Yeah.
hecklers, and those folks that, I tell people all the time, every time I blow my whistle, I'm going to make somebody mad, because there's a good chance that 50% of the crowd is with what you called, and the other half is ready to call you everything but a child of God. And for the most part, I have just learned to it, even though I may hear it,
Yeah.
I don't acknowledge it.
Hi, I'm Chris LeBrun, your host of the Wholistic Productivity Podcast. As someone who's never been afraid of dreaming big and going for it all, I often find myself with a lot on my plate. I'm a husband and father, a nonprofit fundraiser, and an entrepreneur. What I've realized is my view of productivity was pretty toxic. After decades of believing that in order to do more, you had to work harder, I began to see productivity as this beautiful thing. Holistic productivity is the idea that you can accomplish your professional, personal, and purpose-driven goals in a healthy way, and doing so will make you happier and more fulfilled. Join me each week as we break down myths about productivity, share practical tips for maximizing your time, energy, and focus, and hear from others about their productivity journey. This is the Holistic Productivity Podcast. Thank you so much for being here for this episode of the Holistic Productivity Podcast. If this is your first episode, let me tell you what, you picked a good one. I have a great guest with us here tonight, and we're just going to get straight into it because I think this is going to be a fun conversation. I'm excited about this. I've been looking forward to it for a long time, so let's get into it. My guest tonight is my dear friend, Jimmy Arnett. Jimmy has been in the uniform business for almost 50 years. He'll probably kill me for saying that. And he has been at the top of that game at every stage in his career. He started out just 2 years out of high school as Aramark's youngest route sales representative at the age of 18 and was promoted again and again in that organization. For the last 25 years, he's been with Workwear Outfitters, first as a territory sales manager and quickly advancing to regional sales manager. Since 2008, Jimmy has been the national account sales manager responsible for $150 million in annual revenue for Workwear. He has received numerous sales champion awards and was named Salesperson of the Year in 2002. He also represents Workwear on the Textile Rental Services Association, the industry's lobbying group, and meets regularly with lawmakers in Congress to discuss issues affecting the industry nationwide. But Jimmy's story isn't just about uniforms and what he's doing in his professional world. Since 1990, Jimmy has served as a high school basketball official licensed in the state of Indiana and in the state of Michigan since 1995. He has served in several capacities on the St. Joe Valley Athletic Officials Association, including VP of Basketball. In 2013, he received the Jim Tansey Zebra Award for the Official of the Year. I love that name. That is just fantastic, the Zebra Award. Serving as a clinician for the Indiana High School Athletic Association since 2006, Jimmy has helped train countless officials in northern Indiana, and he was elected president of the IHSAA in 2020 and is serving his third term. Jimmy is also involved in many community service projects, including being involved in his local church and his high school alumni association. He supports several nonprofits, both with his time and his finances, including Special Olympics, Toys for Tots, and Camp Millhouse. But I'm guessing Jimmy is most proud of his wife of 49 years, his 2 adult daughters, and his 4 grandchildren. Jimmy, it is great to have you on the show tonight. Thank you so much for being here and having this conversation with me. It's good to see you again, man. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while, Chris. Thank you. I'm honored that you asked me.
Yeah, and you're looking just as good as ever, man. Compliments to your barber. This is for those of you who are watching on YouTube. You'll get the joke. You'll get the joke there. So yeah, no. You live this interesting life. On the one hand, you are a salesperson and maybe somebody who travels more than I used to when I was in my traveling days. I know you're always on a plane somewhere. But on the other hand, you are living this basketball life. And I know you didn't really understand why I wanted to have you on the show.
Still
but
don't.
when I, well, we're gonna figure that out together. But when I talk about finding success in multiple areas of life, I think you're just a great example of somebody who's doing that. And there are just so many facets to your life, and you're succeeding at all of them. And I think it's just great to have you here.
Thank you, Chris. I'm humbled that I have the chance to share this time with you, and it's always good. It's been too long since we've been able to just sit down and chop it up.
Yeah, we need to do it more often and definitely in person at some point. But let's talk about uniforms for a minute. This is one of those industries that we hardly ever think about, but it's a huge market out there, and you've worked at two of the biggest names in the industry. So what would you want someone who has never really thought about the uniform industry to know about the work that you do?
Well, I think because, as you said, very seldom does anybody just think about the uniform industry per se. There's several different facets to our industry, and I started out on the uniform rental side of the business, as you mentioned, with Aramark. Now I'm on the manufacturer side with Workwear Outfitters, but uniforms are all around us, whether it's
Mm,
in our in our workplaces when we go out for dinners, and then even though I'm not in that arena, wish I was, think about uniforms as far as athletics go. So
yeah.
yeah, it's all around us, and again, it's not anything that is usually top of mind until something goes wrong, or there's a need, pressing need for an organization or a person.
Yeah. I remember when I was in high school, I for whatever reason I worked at a auto mechanic shop that we had on campus. I was in a boarding school similar to situation that you had, and we had an auto mechanic shop there, and we had uniforms that came in. Let me tell
Yep.
you, for a 14-year-old who's just moved away from home, not having to do laundry rather was just fantastic. Like I could wear those things, get them as dirty as I wanted to, and they would show up every week, nice and clean. It was great. I wished I had work uniforms now. I mean, I think back on those days. It was the best time of my life in many.
Yeah, how cool was it when I'm assuming it was the delivery person showed up, whatever day of the week it was, and
Yeah,
you got your uniforms and may have even had a little name badge on it that
yeah,
said Chris and the name of the school or the organization, perhaps. And yeah,
yeah.
it's what a simpler time, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, obviously, you've been in sales for the majority of your career. That's a job that I think you either love it or hate it. It's probably a lot like fundraising in that sense. People on the outside look at you or at me and say, oh my goodness, I could never do that. But what do you love about being in sales?
Well, it's interesting. The As my career has, I guess, progressed, it's not just sales. It's for me now in my current role, it's national account management. So it's not just sales, but I
Yeah.
think the recurring thread for me through all of this, it's been about relationships. It's been about people, and I don't profess to be the best salesperson, that's ever darkened any doors of any of my companies, but I just work. I shouldn't say work. I endeavor to develop relationships with people, to trust that I'm working on in their best interest, and we just develop a good level playing field that we can do business together, and that will usually turn into expanding that relationship both
Yeah.
personally and in business.
definitely the same thing for fundraising. I mean, it's all about the relationship. But even that, I mean, sales has a lot of pressure, but relationships in business can bring their own sorts of pressure. I was talking with a donor this morning about a problem that we had with their donation, and it's always that touchy situation. Am I going to lose the relationship? Am I going to
Right.
make it stronger? How have you managed some of that pressure through the years? Is there a mindset that you have to stay focused, to stay positive in those situations?
Um, I try. It's not always easy, but again, that's why I'm bald. Uh, one of the things that I have found, Chris, even when you're having to have those challenging conversations, is is just being honest with people,
Yeah.
whether it's something me or my company or whatever the scenario might be. Just being honest with them, but reassuring them you're here to help find a mutually satisfying
Yeah.
resolution at the end of the day.
Yeah. I think so many times that honesty is important because we see too often in business, in situations like this, where they don't want to take ownership of the problem. And most of the time people just want to be heard. They just want somebody to know that there was a challenge and that the company cares. And I find that just listening oftentimes solves a lot of those feelings of frustration that people have. It may not solve the problem or the challenge that was there in the first place. Sometimes that's never solvable, but it solves those feelings, those emotions. I'm sure you've run into that as well.
If nothing else, it's a good foundation. If both parties know they can be heard, they can be honest with one another, and
Yeah.
where there's responsibility or accountability to take. I've been in many a situations to where my organization may have done something to disappoint a client, and you just wear it and you try to repair it and do the best you can with it.
You work where it exactly.
I,
That's
oh,
yeah.
see, that's why you're the pod master. You
Yeah.
clever, you clever rascal, you.
I'll let you take that one back with you. You can have that one.
Man,
Okay.
I think I will use that in a few. Hopefully, I won't have to use it, but if I do, that's coming. That is coming.
Yeah.
That's good.
So have you taken anything? Well, I'll just get this back on track. You know, have you taken anything that you've learned in sales or account management relationships that's kind of carried over into your officiating career? Let's pause here for a quick break. We'll be right back. If you've ever gone down the rabbit hole of trying every to-do list or project management app, you know how exhausting it can be. You download the app, you set it up, enter all your data, and then scramble to cancel it before the trial ends. Trust me, I've been there and it's no fun. That's why I love Efficient.app. Alex and Andra, a husband and wife team, have spent over a decade testing and reviewing software of all types so you don't have to. Calendars, project management, banking, planners, email marketing, you name it, they've covered it with honest reviews and side-by-side comparisons. And they don't sugarcoat it. If a tool isn't worth your time, they tell you straight up. I've personally found their reviews super helpful when I was trying to sort through different project management apps. It saved me a ton of time and frustration. Best of all, they often have special deals on the tools they recommend so that you can save money. I'm especially grateful to Efficient.app because they've been supporting the Holistic Productivity Podcast since the very beginning. The best way to check them out and support the podcast is through the link in the show notes. So next time you're looking for software, let Efficient.app do the work for you. Trust me, you will not regret it.
Oh, absolutely. A number of things, Chris. Looking at my business life and my avocation as far as sports officiating, is one, you have to prepare in all aspects of whatever that arena might be, whether it's a customer or going out on a basketball floor, volleyball floor, whatever it might be. You have to be prepared, and you have to do your very best to execute whatever the game plan is, or following the rules of
Hmm.
whatever that engagement is. And just like in business, sometimes as an official, you have to admit that you messed up, or you didn't see a particular play sequence the way that a coach or a player may have seen it.
Yeah. I want to get to a couple of those things that you mentioned, but let's kind of go back and reset. Talk about your officiating. You've been officiating basketball for 35 years. Did I hear you mention volleyball as well? I don't.
Yes. So yeah, I tipped off my 35th year season of basketball a month ago, about 5 years ago, because I didn't have anything else to do. The state of Indiana was looking, there was a shortage of volleyball officials, and somebody in our association kind of, I'll use the word, encouraged me to get my license in volleyball. And so for the last 5 years, I've been doing some volleyball, not as much.
Yeah.
So I've been doing that, and for about 20 years, I also do USA softball slow pitch
Okay.
umpiring. Yeah.
I need to fire my researcher. They didn't unearth that. But what drew you into all of this officiating? I mean, I'm sure it's different in every state, but how does one get involved in officiating at the state level? And what was it for you that drew you to this, as you said, this avocation?
Well, I've always enjoyed sports. Was introduced, to playing
Mhm.
basketball at a small parochial school in fifth, sixth grade, and it just became crazy about sports, and specifically basketball. And as I matriculated through the educational system, and they kicked me out from there as an adult, as a young adult, and then as a married person. I still played and traveled around three states in travel basketball leagues, and I was
Yeah.
not always very gracious to the men and women in stripes. And one specific incident stands out. We were playing in a tournament game, actually locally in South Bend, and one of my good friends was actually officiating the game. And maybe I thought because he was my good friend, I could take some liberties with my comments, and he wasn't having it. And he stopped play and said, "Jimmy, if you think you can do any better, you need to go get your license and come out and help us." And that really was the springboard for me. And and ever since then, it's like, okay. And he kind of helped me through that process. And of course, now that I am aged and my skills have diminished, I don't compete anymore on the basketball floor, but I still feel like I can be, a competitor and give back to the game. More importantly, support the young people in our communities as far as being there to help facilitate their sporting events. It's just as simple as
Now,
that.
the real question, I told you there was not going to be any hard hitting questions. I lied. Did he give you a tech on that? Did he give you a tech? Did he tech you up?
No, he should have, but I think
Yeah.
because we were friends, he did
Yeah.
not. Although I have had a friend during a timeout in a basketball. Actually, I was pretty frustrated with the calling of a game that my team was in, and I called the timeout. Brought the team in the huddle, as the coaches do. I was also coaching and playing, and while I was talking to my team inside the huddle about the officiating, that official literally came over and hovered over my timeout and issued me a technical foul during the timeout.
Wow.
Yeah, needless to
Wow.
say, we were acquaintances, and now we're, barely acquaintances. But
Barely.
anyhow,
No,
yeah.
no
So
Christmas card list for him. Yeah.
no, no. And
Yeah.
so, through the early me playing, and again, I don't want to misrepresent. I was playing in church traveling leagues and local recreational leagues, and they were competitive but
Yeah.
crazy. But I don't want to portray myself as some, college or whatever professional player. But one thing that I did take away from all of that, now that I'm on the other side of the situation wearing stripes, is I probably give coaches and players, I'll just say I will give them as much leeway as I would have liked to have had or that I got as a player or coach. So it actually has helped.
Yeah.
It has helped me in my officiating career.
How many games have you officiated? Do you know? And what was the biggest game that you officiated?
Wow. I need to somehow stop and calculate over 35 years how many
Yeah.
games I've officiated, because starting out 35 years ago, you don't get your license in the state of Indiana says, okay, Jimmy, go work St. Joe versus Riley High School at the varsity boys level. I did a lot of fourth and fifth grade boys and girls games.
Yeah.
And, I was licensed for close to 7 years before I actually uh, was given my first opportunity to work my first varsity game.
Hmm.
And that was just the process back then. It's a little different now because of the shortage of officials. But um, you asked biggest games that I've worked. I don't know what I might consider a big game, may be ho hum to others, but 2013, I was selected to work my first girls' state finals down in Indianapolis on, the big floor down there where the Pacers play,
Yeah.
and so that was a big deal. And then just this past season in 24-25, I was selected to work the boys for a state final at Gamebridge, which is Gamebridge Fieldhouse is where the Pacers play. And I had a
Yeah.
chance to work uh, that boys game where there was one undefeated team in the state versus the 4A team that had only had one loss, and
Wow.
it was an amazing experience.
Yeah, I bet. And let's remind everybody, if they don't know, basketball in Indiana is kind of a thing. Like it's kind of a big thing.
Well, the saying is in 49 other states, it's just basketball, but this is Indiana. And
Yeah.
yeah, it is. And you mentioned it in the intro, and thank you, Chris, by the way, for the nice introduction. I appreciate all the enhancements you did to that.
You can
Um,
Venmo me later.
the um, as you mentioned, I've been licensed for 30 years in Michigan, which
Yeah.
has actually been pretty convenient, as you know, having lived in this area. The state line between Indiana and Michigan is 8 miles from where I live, so it was very convenient to work in Michigan. The style or the level of basketball or the intensity for basketball, while it's good, it's just not Indiana. And I don't know if
It's
I've
just
been
different.
through any state uh, that is just crazy about Hoosier hysteria like we are here in
Yeah.
Indiana. Yeah.
That's crazy to think that just that small short little distance, it makes that big
Yeah.
of a difference.
Yeah.
So have you officiated any games where players in that game went on to be a big name in either college or the pros? You got some names that you can drop on us?
See, I wish you would have. I should have these things right
Yeah.
on the tip of my tongue. There have been a number of young people who I had the chance to officiate fifth, sixth, seventh grade through high
Yeah.
school, and then went on. There's just dozens of them that played at the collegiate level, and there's been a few that have played professionally. Uh, the first one that always pops out to mind is a young lady by the name of Skylar Diggins.
Yeah.
Skylar grew up here in South Bend, played for Washington High School, played at Notre Dame, and she's played for a number of WNBA teams and uh, been an all-star several times. And
Yeah.
and there's others. So it's yeah, there's a couple current. uh, current players in the NBA that I had, and it's kind of cool to say, oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Jaden Ivey, who plays for the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah.
I officiated him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Wesley, he now plays for the Washington. I almost said Washington Bullets. Does that show you how
That
old I am?
ages you a little bit. Yeah. Just
The Wizards. Blake, Blake Wesley, who is also a local product that had the chance to officiate his games. He plays for
yeah.
the Washington Wizards now. And there's been a number of those. And, you know, those young people, whether they're in college or now doing some other things, every now and then you cross paths with them and they say, hey, don't I know?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, you ref my games or whenever when I was a kid. But
Yeah.
it's just a thrill on my end just to be able, hey, I worked her games, or I worked his,
Yeah.
or I gave him a technical.
Yeah.
Um, there's been a few of those too.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned preparation earlier. Because I'm sure fans, when they come to the games, they just see the game, not the preparation. So what does it mean for you to be prepared? What does that actually look like as an official before tip-off?
Yeah, so we'll stick with basketball here. Actually, in the several months in advance of the season, uh, there, and the older you get, it's more important for you to stay somewhat physically fit. So there really is no off
Yeah.
season there. So you just kind of stay physically active. For me, uh, that's not too big a chore. Again, I umpire some softball in the summer. I play twice a week still at my advanced age when I'm in
Yeah.
town, but there's also a state certification clinic that
Mm.
officials who want to um, apply for the state tournament each year, yeah, you have to be certified every 2 years. And
Okay.
again, so an official has to go through that certification clinic. Besides that, you have new rules, new officials, mechanics, all that stuff. I don't have I just took my books upstairs the other day in preparation for a game, but we get I said an owner's manual, an official's manual, and a official's rules book and case book for every sport. I get it for
Yeah.
basketball, I get it for volleyball, softball. And we really just have to be in the books, just being aware of new rules and
Yeah.
being aware to apply them during game time. So
Yeah. That's
there's a lot
probably
of
just
mental and
fascinating
physical.
reading.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's just if you can stay awake and follow it. But again, it's not like a big avalanche of new rules every year. But
Right.
here at the high school level, every year there's something that is tweaked or enhanced. And as I found over the last 10 years or so as a clinician, a lot of the rule changes that happen, they're starting to mirror rules in either men's or women's basketball that gets pushed down lower.
Yeah.
Shot clock is one that has been a big topic of discussion over the last several years. Some states have adopted it. Here in
Mm.
Indiana, we will probably be uh, not so quick to adopt the shot clock for a number of reasons. But yeah, so there's just stuff we have to keep on top of, and looking at your week schedule. You've got a plan.
Yeah.
I mean, you've just got to plan. You just got to be prepared. You got to check the weather. I mean, it's this morning it was 8 above zero, and fortunately, I didn't have a game where I have to travel somewhere. But weather, number of games got canceled this weekend. That has to be all of that stuff. You just have to be ready
Yeah.
for some officials are fortunate enough to work with the same 3 or 4 people throughout the season. I
Mm.
do, but I also have a chance to work with a lot of different people or guys and gals I don't know. So you kind of have to
Yeah.
plan. You have to pregame before you even get out on the floor. So there's just a lot of preparation that goes into behind the scenes that fans don't see when they're ready to, shout
Yeah.
down the house at you.
And does that preparation look any different when it's a big game, like a rivalry or a high stakes moment? You mentioned some of those state championships. And what does that look like? Is it any different?
It probably shouldn't be, Chris, but it is.
Yeah.
Especially if it's an end of the year state tournament of some kind, because the out at the end of that game, the outcome of that game, somebody's season is done.
Yeah.
Somebody's
Yeah.
Even at the high school level, seniors, their playing career might be done. So there's some nerves, I guess you would go into it, but you might pay. I'll be honest. Yes, you pay extra attention to all the little details of what that game might look like. You want to know how the coaches, if you've not had coaches before, those coaches,
Yeah.
you try to understand what their personalities are like, or what style of play their teams usually employ when they're out on the floor. So yeah, there's no game that's the same.
But that sounds a lot like what I'm sure you're doing in your professional role as well. You're seeing what the clients are like, trying to figure out how best to approach them or how to work with them. I mean, there's a lot of similarities there, I'm guessing.
There are a lot of similarities, and I don't know what's prepared me best for which scenario, if it's the athletics for work or vice versa. But
Yeah.
as you said, the similarities are just, man, it's just right there in your face. With the role that I'm in now as national account sales field support, my role now is to try to improve the connectivity between uh, our territory sales managers and these national accounts. And my couple national accounts, if I mention the names of those companies, you would recognize them.
Yeah.
I'm sure at least those in industry would. But there's probably 500 locations around the US and Canada, and trying to, first of all, connect with them, to get an audience with them is not always the easiest thing to do. But what a rush it is when I'm working right now trying to make a connection to set an appointment in January for an office in Albuquerque, New Mexico for January.
Hmm.
And I can't wait to be in New Mexico in January. But
Yeah.
but again, I pretty much have an agenda going into a meeting. It's kind of standardized, but yet it's customized based on
Yeah.
that location or that customer, and what they have bought from me in the past, or what I can perhaps show them some new and exciting stuff going forward. But man, preparation is half the battle. And I think you would probably co-sign on this, Chris, is that you do all the preparation in advance, and you get to that moment, whether it's you know a sales call, or in your case, if you're having a meeting with a potential donor, and there's just a there's just a higher level of confidence
Mm.
when you've done all the prep work.
Yeah.
And there's always going to be something that comes out of the blue that you may not have thought of, or the customer
Sure.
throws your way. Like, you might throw me a strange question, but those are the exceptions and not the rule, because you've put in the time to prepare for
Yeah.
this particular game or this particular client meeting. And you can walk away from it saying, I've done everything. I prepped as much as I could, and hopefully you walk away with a good result.
Yeah. That's one thing I like about visiting with donors. Every situation is different. No first visit with donors is the same.
Correct.
No repeat visit with an existing donor is the same. It's just always different. And I'm sure it's the same for you in that sales environment. You walk in with that agenda, with that plan, and you may be able to stick to it, but you're probably not.
Yeah, and you've got to be a little nimble.
Yeah.
You've asked for an hour, and you get to the meeting and say, "Oh, I've only got 30 minutes,"
Yeah.
or you plan for an hour, and 50 minutes later, you're still there, and those are the best. Those are the best kind
Yeah.
of meetings to have. You don't want that in a sporting event because that just means overtime.
Yeah. Yeah. So as an official, you're making dozens of decisions in real time, often with the hecklers yelling loudly at you, telling you that you're wrong, asking you to put on your glasses. How do you learn to block? Oh, you do have glasses. See, look at that. I knew you needed them. No, how do you learn to sort of block out the haters and trust your judgment in those moments? And when there's really a lot on the line, like you said, big moments for these high school athletes, maybe the biggest moment in their life.
Yeah, it could actually be that very thing. Um, Part of it is experience, Chris. Again, you just learn and adapt as you go, but it is just kind of my just the way that I operate. I've learned through the years that there's going to be, as you say, those haters, those
Yeah.
hecklers, and those folks that I tell people all the time, every time I blow my whistle, I'm going to make somebody mad because there's a good chance that
Mm.
50% of the crowd is with what you called, and the other half is ready to call you everything but a child of God. Um, and For the most part, I have just learned to it, even though I may hear it,
Yeah.
I don't acknowledge it. And
Yeah.
there are some times when I do acknowledge it, when I hear something fresh, something creative, it's something new. I will, depending on what's going on in front of me, I will turn and acknowledge that person. Again, as
Yeah.
long as it's not, it's not hateful kind of stuff, but
Right.
just the creative stuff. It's like, wow, that person spent some time coming up, waiting for his or her moment to spring that on some unsuspecting official. Um, my, uh, my, one of my favorite ones is I think it was Michigan City, Indiana, at a regional game,
Hmm.
and made a call, and again, somebody didn't care for it. And there's somebody just screaming, ref, check your phone, check your phone. Now, of course, we don't carry phones while we're on the floor,
Yeah.
but I didn't acknowledge it. And then this person said, when you get in the locker room, check your phone because you missed that call. And I, I literally stopped what I was doing. I looked and I was already laughing. And some, sometimes that there's I think there's a scripture in Proverbs that says a soft answer turneth away wrath or
Right.
something along
Yeah.
those lines.
Yeah.
But when I turned and was already chuckling, you could see the face of that person who says, "Oh, he did hear me," and it was just a great moment. So for the rest of that game, that person was my buddy, and I didn't
Yeah.
hear anything else from him for the rest of the game. But you
Yeah. You
just
probably made his day by acknowledging it.
probably, yeah,
Now,
probably.
South Bend is it's a big town, but it's not a huge city. I mean, it's a small enough city. If you're reffing local games, do you ever like run into people around town that are upset with a call that you made a week ago or a month ago or something like that? Have you ever had that happen?
Yes, Mr. LeBrun, there's this thing called social media that's been happening now for a while.
Oh, really?
And
Yeah.
yeah, as you might be aware. And so I have been the subject of a number of play situations that people didn't particularly care for. And
Yeah.
it's made the rounds, not only around South Bend, but it's gotten down to the state office. And uh, it's just the nature of the world in which we live.
But I mean, when you're out at the grocery store, you're out at Walmart or something. I mean, do you run into people who physically recognize you and say, "Hey, you're that ref"? Have you had that happen?
Um, I I don't want this to. Yes, I guess because, and I don't I'm not I don't want that to sound arrogant at all.
Yeah,
Uh,
no,
but but
and
when
probably
you've
not asking for your
officiated,
autograph.
very few. Um, but I will tell you again, 35 years in this community, and I travel. Matter of fact, I
Yeah,
love to get out of the city for a number of
yeah,
reasons to work games. But after 35 years, I run into people out at restaurants and stores and whatnot,
yeah,
and it's that whole situation where you make eye contact with a person. It's like I know him or her, and
yeah.
then it starts. Oh, and I can't tell you the number of times somebody will come up and says, "Hey, Mr. Ref," and it's like, "Yeah, I'm him." Um, because as an official, the one thing that you're trained or you're taught to do is we never want to be the center
Mm,
of attention. The
yeah,
best refereed basketball game is when somebody asks, "Well, who are the officials?" I don't know. Were there?
yeah,
So again, there's a level of recognition that just comes here locally because I've been doing this for so long.
yeah,
But I will tell you, 99% of my interactions with parents and the public, folks that come to games, after they get themselves out of that particular heated moment, uh,
yeah,
everybody's usually pretty cool. And I have a lot of, again, at the start of our discussion tonight, Chris, I mentioned how important relationships were to me.
yeah,
Uh, and even those folks that may not think that I'm a very good official, and I may not be, I still value them as a person and I value their relationship. And hey, there's some officials in this avocation that we have a mutual understanding. We don't necessarily appreciate how we go about doing our business, but
mm,
it's the relationship that matters at the end of the day.
yeah.
Yeah.
What's harder for you, making a fast call or letting a bad call go and then refocusing on the next play?
Both. That's a dumb
Yeah.
answer, but
No, it's
even at this stage of my career, there's every season I approach something. I want to do something better than I did the previous season. Um, this year, there's a couple of things. One is physically a
mm,
mechanical thing that I do, but you mentioned it, the fast, the quick call. The one
yeah,
thing I'm working on this year is I need to be patient. There's not much difference between an immediate whistle and if you're patient to see the play, an
mm,
additional second. It's just an additional second.
yeah,
Um, but again, whether it's in a quick call or a call that you didn't make that you should have, or a call you
mm,
made that you wish you hadn't made,
yeah,
35 years, I've yet to call a perfect game. I've had some better
mm,
than others, but never a perfect game. So you just learn from them, and hopefully, you've developed a good enough rapport with the coaches that they understand that you're human, and whether it goes for them or against them, sometimes those discussions can get a little uncomfortable. But it is what it is, my man.
yeah. Have you ever carried a tough call with you after a game? And if you have, what helps you sort of reset mentally? Let's pause here for a quick break. We'll be right back. Living with pain is no fun at all. Whether it's sore muscles from a workout, nagging joints, or even stress that just won't leave you alone. That's why I love Little Golden Shepherd. They make all natural butters from organic herbs and essential oils, formulated to ease pain, reduce stress, and even soothe sensitive skin. I use the muscle butter after tough workouts, and the joint butter is perfect for my knees, which somehow were bad even when I was a kid. I'm so grateful to have Little Golden Shepherd sponsoring the Holistic Productivity Podcast. The way they support the show is super simple. Every time you shop through the link in the show notes, a portion of your order helps keep this podcast going. And here's the best part. If you use the promo code WHOLEPROD, you'll save 15% on your first order. That's promo code WHOLEPROD, WHOLEPROD, deep. Try Little Golden Shepherd today. You're going to love it as much as I do, and your muscles will too.
Yeah, I have. And there's a particular play sequence that happened about 4 years. Well, actually, it was before COVID, and I was asked to come work that game. I got off of another game to go work that game, and boy, to this day, I wish I had stayed on my original game.
Mm,
But there was a really tough play, a couple highly ranked teams, and our crew. It wasn't just me, but our crew blew the call situation. But because I was this, I'll say the more experienced official, I should
mm,
have known, and I didn't adjudicate the situation properly, and that was one of those plays that just kind of went viral, and
mm,
I wore that for I wore that for several months through that season. And you
mm.
said, how do I reset? I don't know if
Yeah,
I did. I don't know if I did very well that with that situation, because you just feel all the ire, and you just feel like the weight of, because the results, obviously one team ended up losing,
yeah,
that the call went against, or the play situation went against. But hey, at some point you can't just keep you just can't keep staying down. You realize there's a mistake. You do what you can to uh, admit it, and you move on. So
yeah.
it's and do the best the next time when that same play situation comes up. By golly, I'm not going to miss it this time.
Yeah, well,
And it
yeah,
wasn't
that's
just and it wasn't just like a travel, no travel foul,
right.
there was it was just it was a
Yeah,
mess, and we cobbed it up pretty good.
yeah. But one of the things that I think when I look at refereeing and officials, you get instant feedback. And I don't know, there's not a lot of other areas in life where you get that instantaneous of feedback about whether or not people are happy with your work. And like you said, you're going to upset 50% of the arena every single time you blow the whistle.
Right.
But do you think that type of constant feedback and honest opinions coming from people has helped you in your sales role or in other areas of life?
Yeah, absolutely. For one, you get the instant feedback. You may not always get it, like you say, in the way you want to, but
Mm,
at the end of let's say at the end of a game, a tough game, somebody has to lose. There's probably no greater gratification, at least that I can take as an official, if I happen to be walking out of a facility, and you see, oh shoot, there's the visiting team and the visiting coach going out the same entrance you are. Um, but those occasions where the coach stops you and says, "Hey, you guys did a good job tonight," and
mm,
this is coming from the losing coach.
yeah, yeah,
As far as instant feedback in business, you you prepare, you do everything you possibly can, and of course, in sales or in your line of work, that, I don't know if you call it instant gratification, but when you get that signature on a service agreement or on a sales agreement,
yeah,
or something that you've been working towards, that you're able to reach a mutually beneficial situation for both parties.
yeah. You're probably gonna not like me saying this, but I think it's evident. You've sustained excellence for decades in two very demanding worlds, two very demanding roles. What's changed the most in how you manage your energy over that time?
Um, I think what has changed is I've changed, and
Mm,
I'm saying physically I've changed. You stop and think, from starting in my work career, what I was doing, as thank you for saying I've been in the industry for almost 50 years, being able to do what I did uh, some years ago, I can't physically do now. So I
yeah,
have, and thankfully, thank God I don't have to do that physical part of the work that I did for, 10, 12 years versus what I
Yeah.
do now. But still, I'm older and I have to um, find ways to take care of myself physically
Yeah.
and then, of course, mentally. Because if you don't, I'm preaching to the choir here, Mr. Organizing person. If you neglect one, whether it's your physical being, your mental being, your spiritual being, you're going to suffer, and your results are
Yeah.
going to suffer. It's the same way it is in my work career. I've got to
Mm.
maximize my time. If I can plug a holistic productivity podcast that I listened to recently, you've got to find your peak hours, and you've got to figure out your optimum time of performance. And for me, because of what I do, it can be early in the morning, and I'm an early morning person
Yeah.
because of what I'd started in my career. But I'm also a night owl, which the two things don't always resonate. But
Yeah.
so a lot of things have changed. Just a lot of it because I'm older. Some of it is because I'm experienced. I may not have to exert, and I'm talking about both work and on the officiating front. I may
Yeah.
not have to exert all of the mental or physical energy prepping as I once did. But I will tell you, if you think you've got it all down pat, that's when that one particular play on that basketball game is going to happen, and you're going to be the scapegoat for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've coached and trained younger officials for years. What's the most common mistake that you see people make early on in that career, or not career, but
Yeah.
that part of their
As an
life?
yeah, as an official, um,
Yeah.
whether it's on the softball field, volleyball floor, especially the basketball floor, um, the mistake, and I can say because I being a type of controlling personality, going out into the arena thinking that you have all of the answers and you're large and in charge and nobody can challenge you.
Yeah.
And it is a very rude reality when a young official thinks he or she has this thing down pat, and then they're faced with a scenario that they've never faced before. And that moment can either encourage you to get better, or in some cases, unfortunately, um, people fold and walk away from the avocation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you look back, what do you hope that players, coaches, other officials that you've influenced, what do you hope that they will carry forward from having been involved in a game that Jimmy was officiating?
um, I hope they would take away from our interactions, whether it's once or through a number of years, is that I was approachable,
Hmm.
and that we were able to talk, whether they were going to like my answer or I was going to appreciate their feedback, was that we can always talk. And before every game, we are admonished, required to have a meeting with the coaches and then with the team captains. And what you try to do there is to establish a rapport for the rest of that night. But it is my hope that after I've worked one of your games, whether it's one time or down through the years, that coaches and players could find that I was approachable, and that I did my dangdest to you know work my tail off for them during that particular game.
Yeah. Awesome. I like to end every episode with the questions, and I know I've sent those out to you ahead of time. So we're going to dive into these. These are inspired by James Lipton, who was host of Inside the Actors Studio, and we're just going to go through these. You can answer them as quickly as you want, take as much time as you want. But are you ready? We're gonna.
And these aren't easy questions. I've been pondering these for several days, and it's like, come on.
Look, this is great. You're gonna do fine.
Let's go.
What motivates you, Jimmy Arnett?
Fear of not measuring up.
What discourages you?
Being misunderstood or unappreciated.
One word that describes you at your best.
Intent.
One word that describes you at your worst.
And you didn't ask which one of those words you are the longest. But anyway, that word would be, I didn't even have to think about it, and that would be pessimistic. There's a reason my daughters call me Eeyore at times.
I do remember that.
Yeah, I thought you might.
Other than family or work, what gives you purpose?
Being involved with ministry, whatever opportunity that I'm provided the chance to, whether it's church or outside of church.
Yeah. What guilty pleasure brings you joy?
I didn't have to think about this one too long. It is Gate D23 at the Atlanta airport, where you will find an Auntie Anne's pretzel stand. You didn't expect that one, did you, Chris LeBrun?
I didn't.
And you've been there.
I have, but I've never purchased a pretzel from Auntie Anne's in my life.
Well, that's okay, because I've purchased enough for you and most of the United States.
Oh my goodness! I told you had traveled a lot. When you can get it down to the gate number.
There's several Auntie Anne's stands in the Atlanta airport, but D23 is the best out of the other three concourses.
Do they recognize you when you show up there? That's the question.
That's an embarrassing question to ask me, and the answer is 2 weeks ago when I got in between flights, I walked up to gate D23, and Christine, I know her by name. The associate said, "Do you want your regular or do you want?" Because sometimes I mix. Yes, they know me, but they know me. Yes, they do.
Oh, I love that. That brought me joy. Your guilty pleasure brought me joy. Right there.
I'm glad. I'm glad.
I'm gonna go see Christine next time that I'm there. I'm gonna say, "Hey, Jimmy sent me,"
and she'll probably say, "Who?"
Yeah. Oh, okay. Let's get back on track. How do you celebrate a win?
That was a really tough question, Chris. I would say, for the most part, I'm not sure I do that enough because I'm always looking for now. Okay, I've got that. Cool, that happened.
Yeah,
and I'm ready. But if I had to give an adult answer here to that, is I like to share those wins with other people, whether it's my work team. Or if it's, say, my officiating crew or whatever it might be, my family, whatever, I like to share those with others.
How do you bounce back after a loss?
Kind of the same scenario. I'm not sure I do very well, as I told you in that other scenario. I think I'm a wallower. I'm just being honest here. I have to wallow for a bit. I have to pout a bit. And then it's like, okay, watch out. I'm coming back. But yeah, I need some time to pout a little bit or lick my wounds before I get ready to jump back in the saddle.
Who was the last person you expressed gratitude toward?
Today? Or the last person? That would have been her name is Bridget Williams. She is you asked, She is the athletic director at Penn High School over in Mishawaka, and she sent me a picture of me at the game last Saturday night.
Oh, nice.
And I don't like seeing myself in pictures, but she sent me this picture that their sports information director had taken, and it was of me while I was singing the national anthem. She had asked me at the last
Oh, wow.
minute, "Hey, can you do the anthem tonight?" And so it was a picture of me singing the national anthem. So I just
Nice.
sent her a note of gratitude saying, "You could have kept the picture, but I'm always happy to help you with whatever." So it was Miss Bridget, I guess would be my answer.
Nice. And if you could go back in time, what would you tell your 25-year-old self?
Geez, I can't think back that far. I think, again, based on the questions that you asked and what we've talked about tonight, I think I would tell myself to take the time needed to process a situation where it didn't turn out as well as I would have liked,
Mm,
but not to wallow, not to stay there, and to just jump in and look for the next mountaintop experience that you can possibly have.
Yeah, that's great. Jimmy, thank you so much. I love hearing more about this. Again, we've talked about this, but never in this detail. And I just love hearing these stories. Thank you for taking the time to share with us today. Appreciate it so much.
Man, this was a blast, and I appreciate it, Chris, and continued success to you in the Holistic Productivity Podcast, man. You're killing it out there. Keep it up.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That is it for the show today. Thank you so much for being here. Check out the show notes. I will link you to Jimmy so that you can harass him on social media as well. If you have not liked one of his calls, no, we'll connect you with all of Jimmy's. But no, check out the show notes. That is at holisticproductivity.com. And make sure that you subscribe on your favorite podcast platform or on YouTube so you can get the next episode when it drops. We drop one on Tuesday every week, so you don't want to miss that. Best way to do that, subscribe, like, follow, hit the bell, all of those things. If you liked the show and found it valuable, if you liked hearing from Jimmy and his stories, rate the show. We'd love to see 5 stars, but that lets other people know that you have found value here, and we just appreciate that so much. Also, follow at Holistic Productivity on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, Substack, LinkedIn, YouTube, all of the social medias. We'd love to have you there, and a lot of productivity tips throughout the week, motivation, great stuff that is being shared there as well. And I talk about this all the time, but this is new. The Holistic Productivity Community on School. Man, I am so excited about this because this is where everybody that's part of that community is learning from each other. And we've got people that are around the world that are part of that online community, just learning about how to be more productive, how to be more engaged, how to be better at whatever you want to do in life and how to reach your goals. So lots of great resources there. It's absolutely free. You can check that out. Link will be in the show notes. Again, thank you so much for listening. As I say in every episode, the reason that I do this show, the reason that I bring you great guests like Jimmy is to help you dream big, plan smart, and live fully. And I hope that you are doing that. Can't wait to hear how that is changing your life. And again, just thank you so much for being here. We'll see you next time. Take care.